G'day, Mick here again. In this video we're going to be building the chassis for the Tamiya Fighter Buggy RX Memorial. I was going to do the whole thing in one video, painting and all. I've managed to paint the driver. Anyway, we'll get onto that probably in the next video. Couldn't get any paint. The old TS14 was a bit hard to find. So anyway, I found it, ordered it, and yeah, it came today. Right when I'm finishing up the video. Anyway, we've got cold weather and rain and stuff here anyway, so I'll get onto that when it's not raining and cold. Or I'll just paint it in the shed, I'm not really sure. Still cold out there too. Anyhow, we'll get onto the build and go from there. In this build we'll be using the Power HD 3001 HB servo, the orange GR400S receiver, a full set of ball bearings of course, and a Tamiya RS 540 sport tuned motor, and I'll be using that with a 19 tooth pinion gear. So let's get into the build, and we start by assembling the steering and fitting that into the chassis. After that we move on to the front arms and stuff. Now I know a lot of people are having issues with a lot of play in the steering. I'll probably look at that later on, but you'll see what I mean near the end of the video. There's a connecting rod between the steering and the servo saver. It's got a lot of play in it. I might change that later on. I'll probably just take the rod away and use a turnbuckle in there instead. Now we're on to fitting the front arms, and this brings back a lot of memories. Kind of reminds me of my first Grasshopper, way back in, I think it was about 85. Got it second hand. Yeah, could not kill it. It was a beast. Well, it was kind of as beastly as it could be with a 1200 milliamp NiCad battery and a standard 540 motor. And there we go, that's our front end pretty much done. Steering seems to work. Now onto the gearbox. And of course we're putting our ball bearings in there. And of course we've got to put the E-clips on the axles there. I surprised myself once again and didn't send any across the room. I often find there's not enough grease supplied with the kits. As you can see here, I ran out, so I went for the big tub. Yeah, I just like to put a little bit more in when I'm running hotter motors. By that I mean I don't just pack the whole gearbox with grease, you know, but you know, put a nice amount on there. And that's turning over quite nicely, and as you can hear, you can actually hear the grease in there. Now it's time to fit the motor. And as you might notice, that's not a Tamiya pinion gear I'm using there, it's actually a Maverick one. It's it's the right pitch, it's a .08 module, 32 pitch, 19 tooth. Now it's not an aluminium one like Tamiya would have, but it's brass. Kind of matches the gold on the stickers. Not that you're ever going to see it. So after building the gearbox, it was time to get onto the shocks. Now if you remember my unboxing video, if you saw it, the rear springs were different lengths. One was longer than the other. I didn't bother changing them, I just stretched the shorter one to the same length as the long one. I figure being basically a hopper style buggy, handling isn't that great anyway, so it's probably not going to matter. From there it was time to fit the gearbox. So I got the one of the gearbox side mounts on there. Then we put the gearbox on and fit the other side mount, with the rod going through the centre of course. And there you go, the gearbox pivots left and right how it should. So from there it was time to fit up the shocks. Next up we'll be installing the radio. So you know, I like to set that up out of the car first, make sure it's all working, center the servo and all that. And this one came with the TBLE04S speed controller. So that's got the higher voltage cutout, it's got a high and low. Anyway, we're going to set the higher voltage cutout so I can use the LiPo battery. I won't go too in depth with it here. I'll leave a link up the top to one of my recent videos where I was basically toggling between the high and low cutout. Okay, as you can see I've got it all set up as you would have in the car. Got our servo, receiver, ESC, got the motor there, and we've got a battery plugged in. Fantastic. So I've already got it bound, we'll just make sure it all works and it's all good. I've already set it up previously. That's the motor you can hear there, and the servo's moving, very good, and I've set it in the center. Fantastic. Okay, so now I'll set the higher voltage cutout so we can use the LiPo battery. Righto, hold the button down, turn him on, and release it when it gets to green. There we go. Beautiful. That's us done. Now I noticed there was some free space in the bottom of the chassis, so I figured I'd put the ESC down there, and to make it a bit tidier I cut the plugs off and soldered the wires for the motor. So there's our wires all tidied up, looking pretty good I think. Alrighty, moving on to the radio plate. Now you got to cut these 3 tabs off here. 1, 2, 3, so you can fit the ESC in on top. Mine's on the bottom, so it doesn't matter. So I saw this spare space over here, so I figure, receiver fits in beautifully. So I put a bit of CA glue on top, bit of shoe glue on the bottom, done. And it's looking pretty level there, nice and neat, I think so anyway. Hopefully I won't need to change a receiver anytime soon. Fingers crossed. Now this piece here I had to cut down because it was hitting the top of the ESC. So yeah, if you cut that down, you can fit your ESC in there. So that's how it looks with the radio plate installed. Wires are plugged into the receiver there. I think it all looks pretty neat. Now, get onto the steering wobble. As you can see, there's quite a bit of play there. There is a small amount of play in the servo saver itself, but most of it comes from this connecting rod between the steering and the servo saver. Now a lot of people use a little piece of rubber tube right there just to minimise the wobble, or you can get a turnbuckle and go from one to the other. I think that's what I'll do. Now I can put the tyres on the wheels, put the wheels on the car, and we can call it done for now. So there it is, all finished. Well, the chassis anyway. Yeah, I think it came up alright. Those gold wheels look pretty cool. yeah, I've got the body here anyway. We can put the body on and have a bit of a look. There we go. So yeah, that's how it looks. Maybe it doesn't even need stickers. Anyway, so in the next video I'll get the body all sanded up and painted. Like I said, I've already done the driver. He's been done for a few days now. I think it looks okay. Yeah, so we'll get it all painted up and get the stickers on and give it a run. That should be fun. Got a friend who's also got one. I think we're both running the same motor, the Sport Tuned. So maybe we have a bit of a race or a smash up derby, whatever. Yeah, anyway, that's about it for this video. Hopefully get the next one out in a few days, depending on the weather, of course. Yeah, if you like the video, give it a thumb up. If you're new here, subscribe, that'd be great. And catch you next time.